A very good morning to all the participants. We shall start today's session with the prayer. A very good morning to all the participants. सभी को मेरा नमस्कार. I welcome you all to this 3-day workshop on mental well-being, neuroscience and meditation. We have with us Dr. Usha Vastare and Mr. Vasant Jaju. I would like to give a short introduction of both of them. Dr. Usha Vastare is a distinguished neuroscientist, author, and social worker. She has been a faculty of Temple University School of Medicine, Philadelphia, USA, for a period of 17 years. She has published over 70 research papers and abstracts in reputed journals and contributed to 5 books used for continuing medical educational course. She is co-founder of non-profit and voluntary service organization called Yogakshem. Yogakshem aims to bring the confluence of science and spirituality in their talks and workshops. Their workshops are based on the most recent advances in neuroscientific research and are geared to the participants in improving their quality of life. Over the last 15 years, more than 30,000 people have attended in about 1,000 such workshops and have testified to the benefits derived from them. Yogakshem's objective is to introduce positive psychology, practical and scientific methods to lead a holistic living. This includes workshops on stress management, mindfulness, forgiveness, depression, mind training, palliative care, and healthy living style. Mr. Vasant Jaju is the Director for Wellness at Yogakshem. He has done his master's in microwave engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He has worked in cellular and satellite communication domain for 17 years for several MNCs, both in India and abroad. About 14 years back, he decided to quit his corporate career to explore meta questions behind life and sustainable living. Since then, he has been volunteering his time for various NGOs. He has attended several workshops and conferences on yoga, alternative therapies, forgiveness, mind training, Vipassana meditation camps, sustainable living, science and spirituality confluence, and many more. During this process and based on his own experiences, his conviction grew much stronger about the therapeutic aspects of yoga, mindfulness, and various alternative treatments. He has been a long-term mindfulness practitioner and is also keenly interested in yoga and Ayurveda. Both he and his wife share their experiences and learnings by conducting yoga therapy classes for diverse sets of audience from children to senior citizens. Usha ma'am and Vasan bhai, I welcome you both to our HHL course.
Thank you, Ravish. Thank you.
And I would request you to start the workshop as you would like to. Yeah. And if you would like to share anything about yourself or Yogakshema.
Sure.
Thank you, Ravish bhai. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to get invited as a part of this holistic, healthy living program. The topic also that you have given us is very apt, very close to our heart and close to the activities that we do at Yogakshema. The topic is mental well-being, neuroscience, and meditation. As we all know, in this post-pandemic era, mental well-being has indeed become a very important aspect in the overall global scenario. So much so that I've heard statistics something like 10% of the global burden or the global GDP has been primarily the burden of diseases has been due to mental illnesses. And the scientists have also mentioned statistics something like 10 to 20 years of life gets reduced for people with very severe mental illness. Of course, we are going to be focusing more on mental wellness aspect, the details about what we mean by wellness. We will cover that as we go through the presentation. Rest of these 3 sessions, starting from today, are going to be primarily based on the recent advances in neuroscience. And we'll be, of course, covering various neuroscience concepts. Some of it might also have been covered by the previous speakers. However, try and relate to them afresh in the way we have tried and woven together these neuroscience concepts, and try and relate them with your own life experiences, with your daily life routines. Of course, at any point of time, if you feel that these concepts are very abstract and you're not able to relate them, do not hesitate to raise your hand immediately and ask questions. We have, of course, planned out several places during the next 3 days where we'll have planned interaction, but you're most welcome to just raise your hands in between and as well ask questions. Some other generic instructions. Usha Aunty, the chief faculty for this program, she knows only English and Kannada. Of course, another language that we all say that she knows is the language of heart. But I can understand Hindi or Marathi, so you can ask questions in any of these languages, including Gujarati. And I'm sure Ravish bhai will help us to translate those questions into English. We have also planned out various experiential meditation sessions for these next 3 days. Again, some of it might have been covered by the previous speakers, but pay specific attention to the instructions and how we are going to connect these meditation sessions with the specific neuroscience concepts that we're going to cover on each of these days. And go through that meditation experience whenever we have these experiential meditation sessions. From tomorrow, we have also planned out a small test that will be there right in the beginning of the session. So this test will be primarily based on Mentimeter. So you'll have to use a web browser. So it will be nice to keep some device handy with you tomorrow to respond to these questions. So it will be really a pleasure to be interacting with you over the next 3 sessions. And we look forward to this this workshop on mental well-being, neuroscience, and meditation. So with these initial logistics introductions, and before I hand over to Usha Aunty, Dr. Usha Vastare, we will go through a very quick mindful breathing practice. So I'd like to request all of you to keep your eyes gently closed. Keep your back and neck straight and alert. Feel and align the posture, align the weight distribution on both the sides. And let us relax the facial muscles, neck muscles. Let go all external thoughts. And with a calm, quiet, but vigilant mind, focus your entire attention inside the nostrils. Let us feel our breath flowing through the nostrils. Watch the breath. Observe the breath. Let us connect with ourselves by using the breath. Find out whether we are breathing from the right nostril or left nostril. Or maybe symmetrically from both the nostrils. Just feel nostril dominance at this point of time. If the breath is too subtle and you're unable to feel it clearly, then you may take some deep and intentional breaths. And after a while, come back to natural breath. Normal breath. But maintain the awareness of each and every breath. And the entire stretch of the breath. Use the breath as a powerful tool to get deeply anchored in the present moment, here and now, now and here. Recognizing that the breath is a strong bridge between the mind and body, available with us right from birth till our last breath. As we are observing the breath, thoughts may pop up. So wait. Just witness them and non-judgmentally being kind to ourselves, compassionate to ourselves, gently come back to the breath. As we are training ourselves to observe the breath, we can start feeling the subtler characteristics of the breath. For example, you may notice that as you inhale, cool air is entering the nostrils, coming in contact with the warm lungs, warm body. And then as you exhale, this light warm air comes out through the nostrils. Let us try and feel this subtle temperature difference between the incoming and the outgoing breath. Use this simple and powerful tool, sharpen our awareness. And further get settled down, anchored to the present moment. With continuous and regular practice, it will slowly become an effortless and a choiceless awareness of the breath. Now with that, let us end this mindful breathing meditation session by gently rubbing our palms over each other. Generate enough warmth And keep your palms on your eyes, eye muscles, relax them. Slowly massage your facial region, neck region, and gently open your eyes. Thank you. That was a practice of mindful breathing, and in the context of ancient wisdom, in the yogic scriptures, it's also called as a practice of prana dharana. And if you're doing it for a longer period of time, observing the natural breath, it's called as anapanasati meditation in the Buddhist scriptures. So with that, today's experiential meditation session, I would like Usha Aunty to start with the workshop. Over to you, Aunty.
Thank you. Thank you, Vasant. Good morning to you all. We are quite aware that our mental health is directly related to our physical health. Why do I say so? Because something happens to the body. We trip, we fall down. Either we have a fracture or we just get hurt. Even at the tip of the finger, if we cut and then if it hurts, we realize what is going to happen at the level of the mind. Oh no, I'm supposed to be running a marathon in a few days and I have sprained my ankle. What am I going to do? Except that one organ of the body, everything is fine. But how it affects our mind? In a similar manner, we might be physically fit, but we have a tiff, an argument with our loved one. And without our knowledge, some ache that is a chronic pain erupts, and then suddenly either we get a stiff neck or a headache or a backache. We understand this. And again, I'm not saying every time we have a backache that comes all of a sudden that it is because of the argument. I'm not talking from that level. So in other words, we understand that there is a very close connection between our mental health and our physical health, or our body and our mind. So we say a healthy body and a healthy mind makes a happy human being. Is that really so? A healthy body and a healthy mind can make a healthy person, but is he really a happy person? Is that direct correlation just health? Is that really so? This is what we're going to know in a little while. And we're going to go at such a deep level. Sometimes it might feel like philosophical way of looking at our health and mind, but I can assure you it is not a philosophical perspective at all. Whatever we are going to share today is all based on recent advances in neuroscience research, and not just the research that is done, but also of our experience, Yogakshema's experience in the past 15 years having dealt with many different types of people. Today, we're also going to try and bring the importance of truly understanding mental health and the way we're going to be looking at mental illness and mental health, if you may. So we say it's not just that there is a connection between our body and mind, but there is something more greater, something more deeper. We all know this, kind of know this, but we have not paid attention to this in such a scientific manner to be able to be convinced and to be able to use these understandings based on our experience as a way of treatment. So if I can just say broadly, then this kind of knowledge, which is based on experience, can be used as medicine itself. We will get to that as we go along. What do I mean by knowledge itself acting as medicine? We will get to that in a little while. So we know that there is something deeper and more than understanding that there is a connection between body and mind. And that we say it is our interpersonal relationships. How we behave towards others, our own loved ones, our own family members, our own neighbors, our own community, and how we behave even at a thought level with the rest of the nation. In other words, our worldview also has direct effect on our behavior to towards our loved ones and strangers. So this connection of mind and body, along with the importance and significance of our interpersonal relationships, once we understand the depth of it, we will know how we should be interacting with others, whether they are our loved ones, whether they are our neighbors, whether they are our strangers. So this mental well-being, looking at mental being from this angle, it just begins from a single thought. Why a single thought? Because I always say anything and everything under the sun begins from a single thought. Be it my conscious thought or a non-conscious thought. We will get to that later. But everything begins from a single thought, combined with the feeling. It has to end in the quality of our interpersonal relationships. Again, mind you, combined with the right feeling, because feelings are the fuel for any action of ours, for any behavior of ours, and for any experience of ours. So beginning our mental wellness, our mental well-being begins from a single thought, and it has to end in the quality of our interpersonal relationships. And it doesn't happen sometime in the future, sometime later, after we go home from work, or after our retirement. This is usually the way the mind works, right? But it happens now and here and now. And there is clear-cut scientific way of looking at why now. I'm not saying from a perspective of a parent or perspective of a leader saying that if it is that important, whatever has to happen tomorrow, it has to happen today. We have all heard that. I'm not talking from that perspective. Why now and how now? We will get to see that little later, because it can only happen in the present moment. We'll get to that how and why little later. So mental well-being, we are going to look at it from a very different perspective. From the perspective of the quality of our relationships and the significance of our interpersonal relationships. A very, very new angle that we are going to hone in on, that we are going to stress this aspect. Extremely important for us to completely comprehend this angle, because it is truly a Navadarshanam, a new way of looking mental wellness and mental well-being. Not only do we need to understand, cognize, and comprehend, but we need to be able to accept this aspect. Then, and only then, will our mental wellness can improve, which has direct effect on our physical wellness too. So with this brief introduction of the relationship between our body, our mind, and our behavior through interpersonal interactions, relationships and interactions, and mostly the significance of the quality of interpersonal interactions or interpersonal relationships, we will continue for the next hour or so, trying to understand what is wellness, what is health, and we're going to look at this concept of surviving and thriving and also evolving as human beings, which is the core concept of Yogakshema with respect to health and wellness. This concept of evolving as human beings can be looked at from many different angles and many different ways. But today and the next two sessions, we're going to be mainly focusing from the perspective of health and wellness. Just understanding this aspect and concept of evolving is not going to be enough. And learning how to evolve as better human beings is not going to be enough. But we also need to understand what is it that is preventing all of us, not some of us, but all of us to evolve. Why I stress on the aspect of all of us? Because we are taking a scientific perspective. You will see that all of this we have heard using different terminologies from a philosophical perspective. Depending on which religious and philosophical perspective that we listen to these aspects, either we will accept or we reject. So it can never be for all of us from that perspective. But the power of science is all about commonality and reproducibility, irrespective of somebody who belongs to a certain religious connotation irrespective of socio-economic, educational, and even age background. What we're going to share with you is common amongst all of us. Not only the power of commonality, but if we kind of follow in a particular way, it is also reproducible. That is the power of science, which also means we need to know what we want, the goal about our mental health. We have to have a clear-cut goal and work towards using these newer concepts too, if I may. Newer neuroscience concepts that we have contributed to the field of neuroscience, looking from the perspective of evolving and from the perspective of surviving, thriving, and being successful. There's a clear-cut difference. We will see to that. So this is the reason I say it is for all of us, not for some of us. So we're going to understand what prevents us to evolve into better human beings. And at the end, we're going to understand a newer way of looking at some of the symptoms that we get, irrespective of what physical condition or mental condition that we have. And there is also, as I would say, a newer way of looking at this symptom cycle, which will be a surprise. I will wait until that last, at the end of the session to say, to reveal the significance of this symptom cycle, which comes up because of a meta study that was done. We will take that up later. And then we will conclude the session with some, again, the crucial and most important angle that we need to take for all our mental wellness and mental well-being. With this, maybe we can take a few questions if you have, depending on the introduction that was given or depending on the flow of the material that we're going to go through in the next hour or so before we take up as to what is health and what is wellness. Over to you, Vasant.
Yeah, sure. Auntie, thanks. Yeah, if there are any questions, you can just raise your hands. Otherwise, we will go ahead with the rest of the presentation. This was just an introduction to set the tone for the rest of the 3 days, starting from today. Okay, if not, I would like to share and okay. I hope you're able to see the screen. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
So with that, we will get on to revisiting some of the aspects that you definitely know about, but look at this in the context of the flow of this particular topic, the way we have connected it together. We all know what is health. We have heard this definition several times from World Health Organization as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just merely the absence of disease or absence of infirmity. So we'll keep this as a definition of health. And now let's look at most important concept of what is wellness. We are intentionally looking at this wellness because we want to differentiate between health and wellness very clearly, and also see its interconnections and relate that with a specific neuroscience concept that Usha Aunty had mentioned about survive and evolve. So having understood what is health, all of you already being aware about what is health, let us look at what is wellness. So wellness is been defined by several people. Some of the aspects mentioned here have been primarily taken from the definitions given by Alliance Institute of Integrative Medicine. So it is something beyond health. It is enthusiasm to learn and enthusiasm to be compassionate, to be constantly learning new things, learning not just new skills, but also learning about ourselves and learning about understanding our worldview and being compassionate with ourselves, with the environment, and with things around us. Wellness, again, can be looked at as having a zest for life, a deep meaning and purpose for life, even till our last breath, even while we are on deathbed. What does it mean in terms of having zest for life? So can we maintain our wellness till our last breath? Or other ways of looking at it is having an enriching and a fulfilling and a meaningful life. What that means in terms of our practical aspects on a day-to-day level is having a sense of emotional stability. Whatever said and done, each one of us will go through our ups and downs in our day-to-day lives. There will be vicissitudes in our lives, but how are we able to come back to an emotionally stable state as quickly as possible? Having clarity in our thinking, in our action, of course, the ability to love and serve others not just as a charity, but something to be felt as our deep inner need to be having zest for life and not just doing it as a sense of morality or as a charity. And embracing change and uncertainties in a very healthy manner. As we said, whatever said and done, there will be changes. Change is only constant, as has been said by various philosophers, various people, and we have also experienced that. I'm sure in our life, the pandemic has taught us in a very, very deep way. And uncertainties will exist. The uncertainties at a physical level, at a material level, at our emotional level, the moods going up and down. But how can we embrace these in a very healthy manner and keep learning and keep maintaining our zest for life? And let's look at wellness from this particular point of view and try and really have a clear differentiation between what is health that we had covered earlier as an absence of disease or infirmity, a state of well-being, but your wellness being looked at it from these parameters. Now let's look at various different scenarios in terms of health and wellness. I'm sure we have all experienced this. Whenever health goes down, obviously we don't feel up to it. Our energy levels goes down. We feel low, we feel negative. Aches and pains affects our mental well-being. That's the most common scenario that we have all experienced. And we'll just call that as an unfortunate situation, saying that health going low our zest for life, our emotional stability also goes low. We are not able to deal with aches and pains, and the wellness also goes down. We all know this very well. A lot of us have also experienced this, saying that yes, our health is fine, our physical health is fine, mental health is fine. Despite that, we do not have a sense of mutual and fulfilling life. We have some sort of vacuum within us. We do not have that zest that we probably had some time back. Or we are not able to feel and connect with others. We have this small, maybe kirkiri in our lives, or some tiff or some interpersonal relationship issues that may not be affecting our health at this point of time, but it is definitely affecting our wellness. We do not feel as energetic, as enthusiastic as we would like to be. So you can see the clear differentiation over here, saying that although we may be very successful, we may be having all the wealth and resources, all the material luxuries and pleasure, but still our wellness level is not up to the mark. Now, the third situation, again, extremely important, is something to be looked at, is whatever said and done as we go through our life, as we age, let's accept that there will be some aches and pains, there will be some health conditions. However, despite those situations, how can we maintain our wellness? Particularly as we are aging, as we are going through old age, how can we still maintain that zest for life? And that's something let's look at. One of the most common things that I would look at is my own grandmother. Despite the age of 94 when she passed away, she had a huge zest for life. She would continue to work from morning to evening. She would do her routine, and despite the aches and pains on her knees, she would have the same care for her children, for her grandchildren, as much as possible, even at that age. And she would have that zest for life, being able to look at things anew and not really carry over from one day to the other day, and not having any of those emotional baggage, and still having that wellness. So that's what we meant by having wellness, having zest for life, even till our last breath. And I'm sure if we look at people around us, we will find several people who are going through their aging process, may have some issues or the other as one is aging, but despite that, we can see a sense of radiance on themselves, or sense of wellness. They're able to look at each day afresh, each day anew, and we can very clearly see a zest in their lives. So that's the third row. And the fourth one is more of, I would say, a very ideal situation which very few people are fortunate, where health continues to be fine even till. So what I mean is, well, health continues to fine. All the organs of the body are sort of slowly degenerating uniformly, and not just one particular organ dominating over the other. Not just, let's say, the heart degenerating faster than other organs, or the kidneys, or the liver, or the back, or the knees, or whatever. But one is going through a very graceful aging process, and at the same time being able to maintain their zest, their wellness on a higher note. And that's the ideal situation at all ages. So we intentionally covered these aspects in this context to understand all the four aspects with regards to health and wellness. Now let's relook at this. In the first two scenarios, when the health is going down, wellness is going down, or the health is very good, but the wellness is not up to the mark. We are essentially merely in a survival mode. Though we might be very, very successful in our lives, we may have all the material pleasures, but we do not have the same kind of enthusiasm as we had when we were a child. So that's essentially a survival mode. We are just dealing, adjusting, and working through it. We are not able to cross that particular barrier. And the next two rows essentially would mean that we are in an evolving mode of life where, despite the health challenges, we are constantly be able to learn new things, learn about ourselves, learn about the situation around us, and keep enhancing our interpersonal relationships and being able to live a mutually fulfilling life and an enriching life, not just for ourselves, but also for the people around us. And this essentially is the crux of where we would like to look at survive evolve concept, a very core neuroscience concept from the point of view of health and wellness. We have all experienced the first two rows that are over here, and let's look at the next two rows in a more deeper sense, both as now and as we can see as we go through the aging. And how can we, in the third and the fourth row, as we're going through life. And before we get on to what is it that prevents us to evolve, I think this will be a good time to have a break. Not a break, but a question and answer break, so that these concepts are clear and honed in nicely. Thank you.
Yes, Vasanji, we have a hand raised by Parul Sheth. Parul Ben, you can ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vasan Bhai. In the last slide, the last two slides, I have a need clarification, especially the first two situations which you mentioned, where health is less and wellness is less, which is unforeseen situation. So can you explain a little more about the unforeseen situation, and then when the health is good but wellness is not good, which is not a fulfilling life? So those two, and then in the next slide you also talked about the survival and evolving mode, and then there was some other words that I missed. Can you little bit elaborate?
Sure, yeah.
Maybe with examples that would help.
Yes, certainly. Let me once again share the slides, and let me go this. Yeah. So in the first row, we all know that when we have, let's say, even a very small trivial things like a fall or a cold or a cough or a fever, and when health is now down, we know how our enthusiasm to learn or our wellness goes down. So we know this connections between mind and body. When we are not feeling good at a physical level, we also don't feel good at a mental level. And our wellness also goes down. We are not able to learn new things. There is constant, we are in some sense caught in a negative spiral at that point of time till our, let's say, physical health improves, then our mental health also improves, and then we bounce back to having a better health. So that is the first row. And we said not an unforeseen, it's an unfortunate situation because we haven't understood the deeper aspects of health and wellness. And in the second row also, we have seen that, yes, we have gone through, let's say, all the master health checkups and the tests and all the diagnostic tests, and all the parameters are fine. Our health is perfectly fine. We are able to do all our day-to-day activities that we would like to do. However, despite that, I'm sure we have seen that several of us do not feel a sense of wellness, a sense of well-being, a sense of being able to have that same enthusiasm and energy in us, a sense of learning, a sense of awe or wonder that we used to all have in our childhood, for example, every day learning new things. And that's what I mean by the wellness going down in the second row. And these two is what we are calling it as being in the survival mode. And the remaining two is what we are calling as being in a evolving mode, where, yes, in certain situations, although health may not be perfect, health is going down, still how can we keep our well-being high, our wellness high? And the last being more of a very idealistic situation, which we'd like to strive towards, but even third and fourth are primarily towards evolving mode. Maybe, Auntie, you'd like to add something to it, to clarify it?
Sure, Vasant. See, if we look at it from the perspective of our quality of interpersonal relationships, everything what Vasant has said, we kind of understand. It's still referring to us as individuals. What we are trying to bring a new perspective, as I said, Navadarshanam, is that don't just look at your own physical well-being and just your own mental health. It is very much related to and correlated to the people around you. How are we behaving with our own loved ones at home? How are we behaving on the road while commuting to work? How are we behaving with our colleagues at work? We do not pay attention from this angle to our mental wellness. We just use the word, oh, we are stressed out because of this and that. And so we try to manage stress without completely and deeply understanding what Vasant said, without understanding what health means, what wellness means, without understanding the strong connection between our body, mind, our behavior, especially with respect to our interpersonal interactions. If we do not bring our relationships, our interactions with other people, we will not be able to understand and appreciate and follow this slide particularly. So make a switch in your mind, because usually when we say, am I healthy or not, we're only looking at ourselves, at this individual, We need to be able to see the interconnectedness of people, interconnectedness of beings. And if we are even more evolved, not just interconnectedness of beings, but also with the environment. We won't bring that up right now. Let us go stepwise and see. Let us include our relationship with our loved ones, whom we are living day in and day out, 24/7, the people that we are living with. Do we have truly meaningful and purposeful relationships? Or are we just playing the role of whatever we are doing at home or at work, and then life goes on? This is what we call as autopilot mode. Our behavior is also in the autopilot mode, so that our mind is on the mental automatism, is what we say. Tomorrow we're going to learn a new definition of meditation. We need to come out of this way of thinking. Each one of us are playing the role, whatever it is, whether it's at work or at family, things are just going fine. Are we truly having that meaningful and purposeful interaction every moment? Because these are such newer ideas, you might feel like, what is she talking about? Should we be thinking about relationship every time we do something, we eat together, we go out together? Is this? Yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. We really need to understand the depth of meaningful and purposeful relationships. We take people for granted. And we are playing the role of a spouse, of a parent, of a sibling, of a manager, or of a doctor. Honestly, it is not that we have to pay extra attention or time. Once we make a paradigm shift in the way we are looking at this life itself, it happens in a very easy, organic manner. So until and unless we bring in the interaction of towards our people, we will not be able to understand, appreciate, and follow this particular table, that how beautifully that Vasant has shared his views on this.
Vasanji, shall we
Thank
take
you.
more questions?
Yes, I think it will be nice to take a couple of questions.
Shailesh bhai.
Hello. Thank you for this wonderful introduction, actually. I don't know if this question is relevant at this point, but then from this introduction, if I can make out, this workshop is very depth regarding to health and wellness. So it happens when it comes to health, like in spite of if I can take one example of myself or whatever, like any person I can take, like, so if a person is a good, means he's an athlete, sportsman and all, and he's doing everything in life, but in spite of doing all the things for wellness and health and all, something happens, like in a body, like a particular organ, which in spite of doing all naturopathy, homeopathy, then Ayurveda, everything, but then still it continues. Then it uh, it takes you to make some inquiry that who you are and why you are here. So that takes you to some spiritual aspects, basically. So means, I don't know like how it is there, but you are doing all the things in the world for doing your good awareness, mental, you do all the efforts, but in spite of doing, you can't come out of that. So if that related to your chakra and your the wellness and your higher purpose and spirituality, just I want to just I don't know if I'm communicating basically, but just want to share with this.
Very well articulated, Shaileshji. Very deep thinker and very powerful question. Yes, definitely these survive, evolve concepts are not just the neuroscience concepts, they are also very deeply embedded in all of ancient wisdom, all of various scriptures. And yes, evolving and having that sense of wellness is not just from a scientific point of view, but It also encompasses some of the questions that you mentioned about who I am and what is the purpose of my life, what is the meaning behind my life, what does it mean to live a fulfilling life, and all this intersects with these concepts of wellness. Yeah, very well thought out. Yeah, thanks. Auntie, you'd like to add?
Yeah, it is really profound, Shailesh, and you thought you were doubting whether you were making sense or not. Absolutely, you're making sense. And the terminologies that you use, whether it's with chakras or the existence of life, the meaning of life, yes, earlier we would consider, or these questions would be raised only under philosophy. But now I can unequivocally say that this has become the scientific topic in itself. In one of the recent branches of neuroscience, positive psychology, wherein they raise the question of the very meaning and purpose of life. And the root of positive psychology actually stems from the work and research of Viktor Frankl, who has written a book on In Search of Meaning for Life, who even started a new therapy called logotherapy for counseling. In a similar way, by including the questions that you raised about the meaning of life, Yogakshema has come up with a newer way of counseling. Of course, we are trying to keep a particular name for it, but in very briefly, if I can just mention the name right now, what we are calling it as neuroplasticity-based counseling. And what you talked about is this type of counseling encompasses that, starting with figuring out the meaning and purpose of life. And later, during this session itself, there are newer ways of looking at mental wellness, and there are a few more newer angles. You will see that in a little while. I think the Navadarshanam is the right term for this particular session, what Vasant and I we are sharing with you all. New way of thinking. All we need to do is to make a paradigm shift in the way we are looking at things. As they say, starting from Max Planck, a quantum physicist, to even Wayne Dyer, even more recently, and many people in between have echoed this, which is when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So truly, this is what is happening with respect to mental well-being in this session today. Thank you.
Madhu Saranji.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good session to start with, and giving a new perspective to, how to think about, good health and well-being, relating these two things. What I have understood so far, can we say that the wellness is more powerful, or the wellness, you have given the definition of wellness: emotional stability, just for life, clear thinking, and embracing change and uncertainties in a healthy manner. If a person is unhealthy, for example, if somebody has broken the bone, and but if he has a strong IPR, and he has emotional stability, So what I understand from what so far you have explained us, that it helps in getting well or recovering from ill health better and faster if a person has these qualities, emotional stability and a strong IPR. Is it?
Yeah, perfectly understood, Madhu. 2 thumbs up for this. And again, if I have to put it in even simpler terms, and it's not just a fracture of a bone, even when we have these lifestyle disorders,
Yes.
be it may diabetes, hypertension, hyperglycemia, and even cancer for that matter, or any neurological disease, irrespective of what disease or that we may have, illness, I always say, as we age especially, only few of us will be lucky enough to just drop dead. But most of us will go through health related issues as we age.
Yes.
We cannot avoid that.
Yes, true.
If our relationships are meaningful, purposeful, and if we are lifelong learners, as Vasant has been saying, which means developing that growth mindset or even evolving mindset, irrespective of what happens to this body, if we have good, meaningful relationships, we truly can be evolving. Or else, let us take youngsters, even students for that matter. They are so hale and healthy. But many of them, we see that these days, the challenges the educators and the parents face with the youth and adolescents. They are so hale and healthy. If their relationship with their parents, with their siblings, with their teachers for that matter, is not a healthy one, what good does that make, having such a healthy body?
True.
Great difference between the two. This is what Vasant has been honing on, stressing on the difference between health and wellness. And not just what you just mentioned. Above all of that, above all of being compassionate and clarity in thinking and whatnot, it is about loving and serving all. Starting from at home. Starting from home. Do we do the things at home as chores or as duty or out of love? It starts from parents and grandparents. Are we cooking for our loved ones? Are we taking care of the young children or grandchildren? Is it because we want to help our sons and daughters-in-law, we are taking care of the kids, or to save money? Or do we do this out of love? Not just grandparents, even as parents. Do we do this as duty or do we do this as love, out of love? This is what I meant by it is not about just playing the role of a mother or a father, just being a provider, being the breadwinner, and bringing that check back to the family is not going to be enough for ourselves, not for others. We are doing everything as parents and grandparents and can do. But if that shift hasn't happened up here at the level of mind, if we are only doing this as a chore or as dharma or as out of duty, we lose the zest for life. we lose to be lifelong learners, and we lose out on loving all and serving all. Yes, even many of us, including Vasant, might be thinking, what is this auntie is going in a very different way until what she has done right now. I can just tell this, but we want to keep everything scientific. But this is coming from my own personal life and personal experience. Having taken a guru to understand, going deeper, becoming lifelong learner, to understand that guru and the message of a guru is what has helped me to share what I'm sharing. And it has taken many years, Madhu. It doesn't come overnight.
True, ma'am. That's so nice of you to speak from your heart and from your experience.
Yes, I'm speaking from the heart, but it's from a very scientific, purely scientific manner. This I would like to stress again and again.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, Bharat has raised his hand. Can we hear from Bharat?
Yeah, Usha aunty, I wanted to add something regarding
please.
this question. What I understood from Madhuji's question was whether this will help, or rather this will help in physical health also, changing the interpersonal relationship or improving the interpersonal relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to go something probably bit deeper in this angle. Definitely, it will help in improving physical wellness or physical health. But there are many other factors that our physical health. And even if we suffer from some physical ailments because of any reason, what I think is that improving interpersonal relationship and having that kind of awareness, continuous awareness, would definitely help our psychological, emotional, and spiritual health. And in Yoga Shastra, they say that our being is basically made of three kinds of shariras. One is Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. Sthula Sharira is going to, decompose with this life, or going to degenerate with this life. And what is going to be with us is our Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira. And it will continue in our long time journey. So that is what this angle I wanted to raise. I don't know whether it is scientific or not, but I have a faith in what Yoga Shastra says, and this I just wanted to add this angle. You can elaborate more.
Yes. Good that you brought it up. I try and as much as possible remain in the scientific angle, but I will give the scientific terminologies for what Bharat has just mentioned, and not just terminologies, and deeper understanding from a scientific perspective. What he talked about Sthula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira. We will leave the Karana Sharira aside. We will just stick to the Sthula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira. Sthula Sharira is nothing at the level of the body, gross level of the body, physical level of the body. And Sukshma Sharira is at the level of more subtle, let us say at the level of mind. From the scientific angle, let us just take self-awareness. Self-awareness is a quality of mind that is present mostly in the human beings. If at all self-awareness is present, and we know it is present in animals, but at a very, very rudimentary level. As we evolve, what does that mean? Even at this level, if we have to just take at the very first initial step level of self-awareness, even having self-awareness at the physical body, trust me, most people's self-awareness is limited to the physical body level. How do I look? Which color looks good? Which tie goes with this kind of suit? And what hairstyle? This is all because of self-awareness. We call this as whatever, fashion, style. We may give different names depending on the cultural angle. But from a neuroscientific angle, it is all about self-awareness at the level of the body. Very important. But if we just stay at that level, we are just quote unquote in a survival mode. If we need to be evolving, we need to move our self-awareness from the Sthula Sharira level, which is at the physical body level, to the mental level, the Sukshma Sharira level, which means trying to understand my own emotions, my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own belief system. What type of mindset that I have? What are the types of memories I have, and what type of memories are helping me? What type of memories are hurting me? This is the self-awareness at the Sukshma Sharira level. See, until now, what Bharat described from the Yoga Shastra level, Yoga Sutra level, is one way. We have compartmentalized our scriptural knowledge, and we have kept the scientific knowledge separately. Whether we accept it or not, from both the sides, honestly, whether from the scriptural perspective or from the scientific perspective, there was a dichotomy because of the biases in some of the people. But this is the time, this is the day and age, this is the right time, only because of how Dalai Lama posed that question to the Western neuroscientists about, we will get to that later, but I'll just talk about the neuroplasticity issue, saying that if we change our mind, we can actually change the very structure and function of the brain, which has been heralded as the most important neuroscience research in the last 400 years. This is what has triggered, and all of a sudden in the past couple of decades, there is so much interest in combining both science and ancient wisdom. This is the right time. And there are people who are very well versed in the scriptures and also so broad-minded to embrace science. We see that in our monks when they give their talks, which is very different than what it was before 10 years back or 20 years back. The monks are using, which does not matter, either the monks or religious leaders are even using the terms as mindfulness and neuroplasticity and whatnot, embracing the scientific terminologies too. In a similar manner, even neuroscientists have embraced the ancient wisdom, irrespective of which culture it comes from. And right now we are in the right age to truly marry the two, wed the two aspects of scientific knowledge and the ancient wisdom or the scriptural knowledge. Only when this happens can we move forward and evolve as humanity, not just one culture, not just one religious level or one particular field of science. This I strongly believe. So there is truly a scientific angle of what you just said, Bharat. Thank you.
There is one more hand raise. Dara Trivedi Thakkar.
Hello.
Yes, Daraji, please ask your question.
Ushaji. The balance between health and wellness. Which are the parameters which are useful for determining that? And if that optimum balance is achieved, then what happens next?
You will truly start evolving into better human beings so that you can enjoy everything that you're doing without learning something new to do, because we are always on the lookout of more tools, so that we can be better, so that we can do this, do that, and whatnot. What we are trying to say is, when we continue further, you will see many a times, most of the times, without changing anything, because for a lot of us, we are doing everything that we are supposed to do, but yet there is some restlessness, yet there is some anxiety about uncertainties of the future, but yet we have everything in life, but not as happy as we would like to be. Just making a paradigm shift in the way we are looking at things, the way we are looking at the world view will change everything. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. Another great question. Thank you. If we are done with all the questions, Vasant, do we move on?
Yeah, I think we should just move on. We will avoid the break today. We can just move on now because we had a good Q&A session right now. Yeah.
Okay. Oh. So, again, what prevents us to evolve, right? Many a times we keep looking for answers outside of us, but we clearly saw that the answers are within us. And as I've been quoting all along, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. I'm not saying that the answers that are outside are not important. Absolutely, that's the easiest way. If we can find certain answers outside to fix certain of our health issues or wellness issues, so be it. And we have tried that, changing our partners, or moving in with the parents, or being away to be healthier and happier. This is what I mean by outside solution too. But we know just looking for only outside solution is not the solution, permanent solution. Yes, wherever we can take the help of doctors and other tools and techniques to keep us well. But today, what we want to hone in and say, irrespective of that, if we focus on ourselves, on this mind of ours, things truly will change. In fact, this is what has been said in our Bhagavad Gita. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, it is our untrained mind is what is preventing us to be happier, to have zest for life, to be evolving. As this shloka says, Bandhuratmat manastasya enatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvatu. An untrained mind is our enemy. All we need to do is to train our mind, and organically and automatically means doesn't happen like that. Training the mind is what is a lifelong process. When we do that, automatically we will be evolving, automatically we will be well, irrespective of some of the physical ailments. So to understand this mind, an untrained mind, what is the nature of mind and what is the nature of an untrained mind? Our mind acts like a pendulum going back and forth between our past and future. And it hardly stays in the present moment until and unless we are really, really concentrating and focusing and learning something new. So because our minds are untrained, we look at the past with regret, and we look at the future with pessimism and anxiety because of the uncertainties. And whatever we are doing in the present moment and the decisions that we take in the present moment, they are based on the past memories and also our innate biases, which we're going to go into what those biases are. So, looking at the past with regret, looking at future filled with pessimism and anxiety, and making decisions based on our biases and the past memories, which most of the memories either are hurtful or sad in an untrained mind, this is how the mind works. So what we will do is to understand what these innate biases are and how to overcome. And all of this, what we're talking about, whether making a paradigm shift or understanding the biases and overcoming the biases, it is all nothing but knowledge. In other words, we're using this neuroscientific knowledge or self-discovery knowledge, understanding ourselves as a way to be well. In other words, knowledge itself can be used, knowledge about ourselves. Self-knowledge can be used as medicine. Again, you will be seeing this slide, and we both, Vasant and I, will be quoting this as often as we can until it hones into you also. So when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. At this juncture, I would like to bring in and introduce and make you aware of the social stigma that is attached to our mental health issues. Yogaksema is really striving very hard to overcome this mental stigma, so much so, even as faculty, we are sharing our personal mental health issues with the public to be role models for others who have gone through certain mental health conditions, and to be able to be courageous and to be open-minded, to be able to share. This is the first step of removing the stigma attached to the mental health. So here, let us look at these next slides with caution, because this applies to overcome this mental stigma of mental health issues, both from the perspective of the person who's going through a mental health condition and also from the caregiver's perspective. Because at times, even when we have overcome certain mental health issues, we use this as a way not to be, or as a way to just survive, or as a way not to be evolving without our knowledge. It can happen. So the next few slides will help both the people who are coming out of the mental health condition to stop using that as a, what's the word I'm looking for, as a hook to hold on to, which prevents us to evolve, and also for the caregivers to stop either thinking about in a certain way or to be speaking without their knowledge in a certain way to their loved ones. See, this is how the mental stigma that is attached, it can sound like this. When without our knowledge, when we tell our own loved ones as a caregiver, oh, everyone has anxiety, by the way, which is true. This is what we say. Only few people will have depression. Everybody in some time in their life or not, without much exception, will go through anxiety in their lifetime. Okay, so everyone has anxiety and they struggle with depression too sometimes. So it's all in your head. When we don't understand as caregivers, these are the ways we might say to others, our own loved ones. And sometimes if it has become a habit, if we as caregivers have not understood what truly depression and anxiety is, we say it matter-of-factly, without knowing that we are insensitive, without knowing that we are actually not helping the person who has any mental health condition, and definitely not being a part of the healing process. And I'm trying to stress this issue because without their knowledge, they are saying, the loved ones, because they're trying so hard to help their loved ones to come out of whatever they're going through, without their knowledge, they say this. That is why we are taking some more time to bring this issue. How can we come out of this stigma? Or we might say, oh, just go to the gym, wash your hair, or try a new wardrobe, right? Feel better, go to a restaurant, eat, go with your friends, and stop thinking too much, is what we say. We think just by doing few things here and there will help. You know what? Few things doing here and there will definitely help, but not the way we are looking at it. I will tell you how little things can help in a little while. But more now, why can't you just be fine? Cheer up. You get too much attention already, or you're seeking too much attention and you're getting too much attention. Just get up and keep going. Or it could be, what do you mean you can't get out of the bed? You look just fine. No, it's not like your legs aren't working, so get up and get going. That's all you need to do, because we just look at the physical condition and not be able to do anything, not understanding how tough it is to get out of the bed and to be doing things on their own at certain stage, even taking as simple as depression for that matter. So how can we support our loved ones when they're going through? That's the next issue. So therapy and medications are just scams, you know. You don't need any of this. And we know there are so many side effects in this allopathy medicine. You don't need any of this. If you just change your wardrobe, change your hair color, or we will get you a two-wheeler, take it and then go and have fun, and then you will be fine. Without knowing, the caregivers keep mentioning these things. And also this is what will make them go even deeper in their mental health condition. So So how do we come out of this stigma? We will get to that later as we go along, by truly understanding the definition of wellness and truly understanding the connection, not just between body and mind, but also of our relationships, especially for mental health issues. When we do not bring in the interactions with our loved ones, with the colleagues, with the people as such, with experience, I'm saying it is really, really hard to be really mentally well. So, is it possible to prevent certain mental health issues? I've thought about it for decades right now, and having gone through depression myself, and having come out of clinical depression myself, and having seen and treated many people go through depression in a non-pharmacological way, I can assure you that it is possible to prevent certain of the mental health issues. I'm definitely not saying all types of anxieties, all type of depression we can prevent or treat, for that matter, without medicine. Medicine has a role. It has to play the right role for the right type of people. But just medicine, giving medicine is not the answer. So for such people whom we have come across through Yogakshema and many others that we are aware of, many a times it is based on those experiences, I can say that it is possible to prevent certain of the mental health issues. And let us spend few more minutes on this aspect. This we will be able to accept only when we start changing the way we look at mental wellness, and when we look at the interrelationship between body, mind, our behavior, and our interactions with our relationships. One of the, or few of the issues that I have mentioned here, many of the mental health issues is because we do not understand our mind itself. When we really don't understand our mind in a proper way, that is what I call it as untrained mind. We might be highly disciplined, we might be doing meditation and whatnot. It can still be an untrained mind only because we have not understood this mind of ours in a scientific way, which results in self-wallowing. These are some of the common symptoms of mental health issues. Self-wallowing means being self-centered. I'm not saying selfish in that way. They could be very generous, magnanimous, but still self-wallowing, only focusing on their own issues. Why they feel like this? Physically, I'm fine. Why I do not have interest in life? This is what it goes through the minds of people. For example, we'll just take that example of depression. Self-wallowing does not mean they're selfish. And so we have to change from self-focus to other focus. And how do we do that? One of the ways is to focus on our actions, on our habits, on our behavior, and also on our feelings. And very simply put, one of the things I started doing when I had depression, when I was able to overcome to a certain level, is to start serving others. Not just at home, that was not enough. In an organized, structured way, to be able to go out to the community, to a hospital, to an old age home, to a palliative care facility, to a school to teach young kids, to serve food for senior citizens who could not come out of the house. It could be through a church, it could be through a temple, it could be through a hospital, irrespective of through what. I'm sharing such personal things because all this what I'm sharing today is based on decades of what I have gone through in life and many years of going through depression. And many a times still having some of the residual effects, so as to say. So when we change from self-focus to other focus, then service as a way of therapy. Not just volunteering. Yes, that is the initial step. The same thing we do as volunteers. When we understand the depth of the knowledge of what is volunteerism and service. Again, this is nothing but knowledge. How we serve others, how we help out others, what type of mindset do we have to help out others is what makes it as a therapy. If we truly do not have that right knowledge, as this is samyak jnanam, it won't become a therapy. It can even hurt us because it can make us even proud of ourselves. It can even hurt us. So the right understanding why we are doing what we are doing, which is again nothing but self-discovery, self-knowledge, can itself become therapy. So I'm going to come up, I'm going to share with you the newest concept. Literally newest, I said, because it's probably less than 24 hours I shared this concept with a group of people here in Baroda while sharing my experiences and knowledge under the title of Practical Vedanta. But I'm going to keep it very scientific here, not bringing any scriptural knowledge as of now, keep it highly scientific, saying that we are so used to having a to-do list, aren't we? We're so used to doing to-do list so that we can manage our time, so that we can be efficient with whatever we are doing. Can we switch from a to-do list to be list? Can we start having a to be list? What do I want to be? I want to be more loving. I want to be more understanding. I want to be more grateful for the things that I have. I want to be more magnanimous. I want to be more compassionate. I want to be more empathetic. Can we switch from today having a to-do list to having a to-be list? Because I say, you know, the term human beings is a misnomer for an untrained mind. When we get this samyak jnanam, the right knowledge, understanding ourselves, this self-knowledge, then and only then we are qualified to say we are human beings. Until then, we have to call ourselves as human doings. So if I may, the whole of mental wellness and mental well-being is this conversion of human doing to human being. Can we evolve ourselves from human doings to human beings? This is the whole crux of mental wellness and whole crux of evolving as human beings. And for that, we don't even need to put certain things under certain category. For example, I'm saying this with high caution because we're still developing these neuroscience concepts in Yogakshema. And with so much of experience, we're sharing this with you, with this knowledge. Again, saying just treating certain of the mental illnesses like anxiety and depression. Mind you, I'm not saying no, medicine is not the way to go. Medicine is absolutely necessary for many people, but not for all people. Just having antidepressants, having or anxiety medicine will not help. If what Shailendra talked about, such profound question, understanding ourselves and the meaning and purpose of our lives, why we exist, these are not just existential questions. These are the questions that we talk under the banner of neuroscience, under the banner of positive psychology. If those questions are not answered, no medicine can help for certain people because they are truly evolving themselves without their knowledge. So again, knowledge as medicine. So for that, I would say, rather than making it as a mental health issue, certain behavioral changes in our actions, in our habits. What Vasant started out as Sukha Pranayama, breathing, understanding the breath is the bridge between body and mind. And tomorrow you're going to understand the new definition of mind meditation that we are going to give you, and newer ways of looking at mindfulness. then our actions, our habits, our behavior can act as medicine. Not that our behaviors were wrong. I'm not talking as a rehabilitative process. No, 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 no. I'm looking this at from the perspective as a way to use this as medicine. That can happen only with the right understanding, only with the samyak jnanam. Because we're doing yoga, we're doing pranayama, we're doing exercises, we run without understanding the mechanism of action of all these tools. How these tools will help. Why should we be using then and only then such tools are empowering and they become part of medicine. It is like, yes, in allopathy medicine, as patients, when we go, we don't understand the mechanism of action of an antibiotic, what it does, or mechanism of action of an antidepressant, which type of 5-HT receptor it is blocking or is it not blocking. No need for us to know any of that. You just pop in and then it helps. But the depth we are talking about our own health and wellness, to have the zest for life until our last breath. This is what our rishis and munis talked about thousands of years back. And we are interpreting this in a scientific way, in a common way, which is so empowering. Imagine taking an antidepressant, not knowing how it works and coming out of it. For most people, that's what it happens. Or it could be for small number of people who do not have anything organically wrong, but they are looking at life at a deeper level and still go through depression and anxiety and whatnot. To use those tools and to understand the mechanism of action of these tools and how it works, why we need to do this, and to be able to release those quote unquote happy chemicals, quote unquote anti-anxiety chemicals, quote unquote antidepressant chemicals, through our own thoughts, through our own feelings, through our own actions and behavior, through embracing our loved ones. This is the newest way of looking at medicine itself. It is not just some knowledge and medicine. It is knowledge as medicine, and knowledge itself becomes medicine. That knowledge of the self, self-knowledge is medicine. Thank you. And we can open it up for either discussion. It's up to you, Vasant, whichever way you want to take it along.
Yeah, I think given the time, it might be just apt to take a couple of questions and then we'll cover the remaining part that we had thought of today, tomorrow. Some of those aspects have been subtly covered, but we will cover it more formally tomorrow, is what I feel. We can just take some questions and then we'll end today.
Yes, Vasanji. So we have a hand raised by Shailesh Bhai. Shailesh Bhai, please unmute yourself and ask away your question.
Thanks for a deeper understanding of the topic. Actually, now I'm very curious about what Yogakshema basically, because I think I've got a lot of depth about what's all about, So I'm very curious about what Yogakshema your institution is doing and I would love to be part of that basically. So just want to hear little brief about Yogakshema, what institution, what's your way.
You take it, Vasant. You take
Okay,
this
Shailesh,
question.
I'll just tell you in a very brief way right now, and more details if we can talk separately on that. Yogakshema is a completely voluntary organization founded by Dr. Usha Vastare. She founded it about 17 years back. Everybody is a volunteer in this organization, and we have been primarily conducting various events and workshops, talks on enhancing quality of life. And the core focus, of course, has been enabling people to understand how our quality of mind is linked with the quality of life, and how to keep evolving by understanding and enhancing our quality of mind. That's very briefly. You can also look at it more details on our website. I'll put it in the chat box. And anything else, you can message me or call me later on. Just in the interest of time, I will leave it very brief right now.
In one sentence, Vasant, in one sentence, if I have to say, we improve the quality of lives of people through improving the quality of their mind. And I saw the next question, Vasant, where is Yogakshema located? My favorite answer, nowhere and everywhere. We don't have a physical building because all we do is educating people. So my favorite answer, you go ahead.
Kindly share the both of your numbers, contact numbers, if you can, basically in chat box.
Sure.
And also we have to mention that the website is about probably, I don't know, 8-year-old information on the website. So it may not do justice for what is happening as of now in Yogakshema. So it may not even be the right one to give, but we don't have anything else except probably the YouTube channel might be the better source, Vasant.
Sure, yeah. I'll also send the YouTube channel link later on, Shailesh. Or you can search for Yogakshema Bangalore on the YouTube.
If you can share your contact number also, if you can share your contact numbers also, if it's okay with you.
Okay, I'll share my contact number. That's fine. Yeah, right now I think it will be nice if anybody has any specific question, we will take that. Comments and other things, if we can avoid that right now, that will be great.
Yeah, we'll focus on the subject, Shailendra.
Shaditi, you mentioned a very nice statement that Yogakshema is all about healing through mind. This was a very, very powerful statement. Would you please repeat it?
Yeah, forget about Yogakshema's principles. We'll focus on not the organization now, but on the topic, on the subject of emotional well-being. What we're trying to bring here is that self-awareness has to move from just the body level to the mental level, from the gross level to the subtle level. And when we take care of things at a subtler level, the gross level also changes. This is what that neuroplasticity, which I think that is it tomorrow, Vasant, or day after we're going to be covering.
Tomorrow.
When we change our mind, which is so subtle, something we cannot see. If we change our mind, something that is very tangible, like brain, wherein you can touch and feel the brain, something subtle can change something gross. This is very, very newest angle of neuroscience research. The same concept, what we're saying is, if we improve the quality of mind, we can improve the quality of life. And improving the quality of mind is through our interactions with other people. Even though we knew all of this 15 years back, all of us knew all of this, but the way our experience dealing with people in the past 15 years is what has helped us to codify and put it as a package to make it as medicine. Not just at the level of the concept is what we are trying to say. Vasant, if you want to add to that, I think
that's fine. I think we'll cover more of it in tomorrow's presentation when we talk about neuroplasticity. Yeah, certainly.
Can I ask some question, Vasant Bhai? Because I'm not finding. Yeah. Actually, one or two things, of course, tomorrow it may be answered also. I wanted to know about the sustainability of, or what are the tools which we can use once the state is achieved, like wellness and health. Okay. And as Usha ji mentioned about the pharmacological aspect also, maybe will it not be possible that genetically these things could be changed, and about the time set which is covered with this, if some researchers have done, you people have done over that, about neuroplasticity. These two things I wanted to know, because that will be important once we have some knowledge or we achieve some state, then how to sustain these things, and that's very important. Outside triggers are always going to be there. If that may not be changed, or maybe it is changed but temporarily, but then you have to be strong enough to sustain all these things. So if you can throw some light on this, maybe tomorrow also, I would be very happy, because genetics also is playing part, and through that, how can we achieve the state and the different tools by which we can sustain this. These two things are important. Like in our case,
we get it, Bharti. We will be able to cover it tomorrow. But I will just say it is not about, let me finish. It's not about being strong. Outside influences are always going to be there. It is not about being strong. This is the shift that we have to make.
Right.
It is about training ourselves.
Yeah.
It is not, that leads to, the end result is having that mental strength, emotional strength. Earlier, it is just at an emotional level. With intellectual conviction, that is what we're doing. With this knowledge, cognitive knowledge, scientific knowledge, then it becomes emotional strength. So this whole process is training the mind. It is not just having certain tools, like we want everything in a short-term manner, quick fix manner, even that quick fix we will give you tomorrow. But in the long run, only when we train our minds can we be able to do this, and not otherwise. And coming back to genetics, we're not going to be covering that tomorrow, but I will just say broadly and then leave it at this, because we will be having certain questions even before we have covered a lot of the concepts yet. This, what you're asking, is so new. We are actually giving ideas for people to even do more research into this. It is so new, is what I'm trying to say. But knowing what, how, and what can cause the genetic change, Absolutely. We know under certain circumstances, based on the epigenetic research, even the expression of certain of the genetic material can be changed because of our lifestyle changes. That is enough. And that is what we're proposing here too. But we are not equipped here to show those genetic changes, but these are all research ideas for research scientists who are still in the field to be able to take it and then run the experiments to be able to prove, which I can assure you, which will take years, if not decades. Such new, nascent, pregnant ideas are what we are proposing. And they're not just ideas, these are based on our experience at Yogakshema.
Thank you so much, Ushaji. Nice meeting you all.
Usha ma'am and Vasanji, I think we should conclude today's session. And it was a really nice start to a 3-day long workshop, starting to understand the basic concepts of health and wellness and how to work on our mind for well-being. We will take this forward for the next 2 days. I thank you for joining us, and I thank all the participants for joining today's session. We have 2 more days of this workshop, so do join us tomorrow and day after tomorrow. And I wish you all a very wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ravish Bhai. And just a reminder, it will be nice for you to have your phone with you tomorrow, or any device with a browser, just to have some quick questions, multiple choice questions tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vasan Bhai. Thank you, Ushaji.
Thank you.
Bharat Bhai, Ravish Bhai.